Okay, so reactive form in Angular. So what we will do here in terms of steps we are going to follow. So first, make a simple HTML form, right? That we are going to do. Then we need to import. Remember the form modules. So yep, import modules and um, form control that we needed. So I'm writing kind of a steps for us. So we'll create a form, then we'll import some modules in that root module we saw. Then connect form controls with form. Okay, this will happen in TS file. Second step. Then connect form controls with form, that we will see. And then next would be get values from form. Okay, so this much we are going to do in reactive forms. Okay, fine, so let's start it. And okay, let's stop the service. It's running. We don't need this, we don't need this, and I'm still inside base app. So let's switch. We're going to insert that src, then app, and then user. Okay, so src app user, this is the directory. Okay, now simple commands. Ng, I'm going to create a component, by the way. Ng generate component, then I'll call this reactive form. This is going to my component name. Ng generate component and then reactive form. Done. Okay, created. So again 4 files for that component and 1 update in model file. So if we open this, I can see it has a reactive form component. That's our component name, and it is registered here under declarations. And it's done. We don't need to import anything from form module, it's already there. So yeah, we were talking about the component. So new component is ready and 1 update happened here. Fine. Let's open this component, because we know unless we register that or call that selector somewhere, we cannot see its content. So reactive form is here. Let's open this HTML. This is it, and we need its selector name, that's app. Then the name component was reactive form. Copy it, going back, comment it. Okay, done. It's done. Let's test the changes just to verify whether this component is working fine and getting things or not. Okay, it's up. Reload. Reactive forms works. Okay, great. So we are able to see the contents from the new component. Okay, now as the first step says, create a simple form. Okay, so we are going to create a simple HTML form. Nothing special about it. Simple form. So if you're using this VS Code, you know what, guys? It provides lots of shortcuts. If I just put exclamatory sign, we call this Emmet. You can even read it, EMMET, Emmet abbreviation. So in Eclipse we got SYSOU2, so it gives you system.out.println. Same way, this editor gives you lots of kind of a shortcuts which can generate certain things for us. So as you might need a HTML page, so just write one exclamatory sign and press enter. So it will give you a skeleton of the HTML page. Okay, so just exclamatory sign and it will give you that. Fine, it is there. Now we need to create a form. Fine, so we'll go inside this body and have that form ready. Form tag close. Here we need to give certain informations. Okay, so usually if I need to consider a simple HTML form, so form tag, and inside that we have to write input type text and some placeholder. Again, I'll keep it simple so you guys can understand. And yeah, obviously after this, try from your end and keep adding some more elements of forms. Okay, then I'll copy this I'll just add two elements like we did yesterday, and password. Then it's going to be password type, so it cannot be visible. Once it is done, I'll create a button. It's going to be, let's say, login I want. So login. Saved. And let's verify the change. Yep, same thing coming like it was coming yesterday. Reload. Okay, great. So it's a simple HTML form. Done. Now next step says I need to import some modules and form controls. Okay, so for that we need to go to our application here, module file here. So first thing is we need to make sure that it has form module. Yes, it does has. Now after form module, we have to import one more library, Reactive Forms module. Okay, and it is coming. Oh, sorry, not this one. My bad. Wrong import. Comma this Reactive Form module. This one. So it is imported from Angular Forms library. So we needed this module so we can use its form controls. So it's simply like importing one package so you can use or package or jar file so you can use its classes. Remember when in Java programming we tend to add libraries or jar files dependencies so you can use its classes. Same way we are doing the same stuff. We are importing one library from Angular library, and then from that library we can use its classes and components. Okay, so second step is also done, importing modules and form controls. Now we'll go back to that reactive HTML form. Let's add some special things so that will make it reactive form. Okay, so after this form tag, I have to create, guys, this is going to be typical, kind of complicated. So if it is true, so that's fine. Bear with me. Just okay, yeah, it is complicated, so that's fine. If once you write this code 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, it will be easier. But first time it will look tough. I will completely agree with you guys. Okay, so you have to write form group and then give some name. So I'm going to create a login. So I'll say login form. Okay, then I need a event. So here in brackets, ng submit. Make sure that you're writing in the same case. Don't write anything. Write it as it is. And let's say my method name would be login user. This is going to be my function. Okay, done. You guys can see I am not passing any event. Last time when we were doing some basic form handling, so I'm going back to that HTML page. Here we have used some events. We used one ID here. This is really a basic form where we are keeping the ID of the form to get the contents from the form. But this time we won't use that. Since we are using reactive forms, so we have to bind it more dynamically. So just function name is enough and everything will happen or handled at TS side, the TypeScript file. Okay, login user function is there. Then input type text, then placeholder. Then after I need to give one thing which is known as form control name. Okay, you have to write it as it is and mention the field name. So let's say user, that's the username. Then after next field will also have the same form control name, and let's call this password. Okay, fine. So we have form control name for username and form control name for password. Okay, fine, this is done. So this part is done. Next we need to take care of its TS file. Close this. This is a TS file. So first we needed its function name, so I copied. Okay, function is ready. Save. So we're getting some error. It says login form is not there, that form group we are talking about. So we have to create this login form on TS file. So here comes the important part, like how to create that form handler, because what we said that we are going to create a login form and we will attach these form controls to it. Okay, so going back to TS file, I gave login form. Now here comes the usage of it. So I copy it, going back, and then I'll say login form equals, it's like simply we're creating object. Think about, you just created one object in Java, reference. Now you're going to create its object. So that's what I'm going to do. Login form equals Then new, yep, it also uses new keyword because it's a TypeScript, completely almost similar to Java. So login form equals new form group, and once it's done, create a bracket, curly brace, and then semicolon. And now you have to assign how many controls are there on that form. So one control is user, copied, done. Now instead of using equals, you put colon and give its type that it is a form control, because we mentioned that in HTML page. Form control, bracket, and for now just keep it as is. Okay, that's how we write it. Form control. And one more thing I forgot because we're getting error, so we need to import. Let me see if it gives option. Form group, yep, there it is. And control. Okay, imported both. Next field is password, and then same new, it is a form control, it will be a blank, like constructor call. So same thing we are doing, we created one form group. That's just a name, you can name it anything. I'm calling it login form, you can say xyz form, doesn't matter. Then on ts file we have this form control, and we have said form control name, that's user password. So user is here. On HTML it's password in small letters, there it is, password. Okay, it's done. Now on login user, we'll simply say, let's print this on console initially. So console dot log, oops, log, and here I will use this dot login form dot value. That's it. Okay, and let's verify. Build is successful. Great. Going back to the example, and because we are printing on console, so let's inspect it. Console is here, cleared, and let's give ABC password 123. Login, and yes, I can see it's right here. So I have user ABC password 123. So you guys can see now my HTML is much better and much clean in terms of what I'm passing in as an argument. Everything is happening or handled by reactive forms. It simply says that whenever you're creating a form, use this form group and assign a variable and use this variable on TS file. There it is. Then whatever variables you want to attach with this login form, have it with form control name, and user password will go along. So there it is. Okay, so let's I'll copy from here. So we did all the steps making a simple form. That when we did import, then connected form controls with form, and then get values from form by using any means. So we are printing on console. So this was the first step, having a form. Then on TS file we did this. Actually we need the whole line because I need to show you that from where we imported that library. Let's create a new page. And okay, let's move it down. This also goes down. Okay, now better. Okay, save it with id2, and when we run, log in this, we'll get this screen, and on console we get this. Okay. Oops. This is TS file, this is HTML file, this is output. Let me take the names as well. HTML file. Okay, this is its TS file. So what you have to notice here, the name we give. So let me highlight the key sections. So first we used login form, it's right here. Then we used user and password, and this user and password is here. Then we used login form, it's right here, and form group and form control. These are separate things. Okay, so let me color them as well. So login form is here. Then we used user user password are here. They're different thing. Then form group and form control. This for import. It's here. Form group and form control. So you can verify with the color codes, which is what? So yellow, green, and then this gray brownish color. Okay, so what you guys have to do, again same thing what we did with basic form, add some more elements, same in the same way, increase its size, and now giving one homework here. This is already covered next page, so removing it. So what you guys have to do, homework, that means for entire next week what you guys have to do, um, check how to validate reactive forms in Angular. Okay, so you need to verify how to do form validation. What does it mean? If I go back to my form, refresh, so you can see both uh, fields are empty. Still, login button is there, and if I click on this, I can see empty user and empty password is coming along. Okay, username can have anything, right? See, this is not good, and there's no validation on it. I can type anything and at any length, right? It is not asking me to okay stop here, and it's not giving me any error or something. So that kind of validation, form validation, and this is just username and password. Think about, we have one more field, um, let's say email. So email has a proper structure. So what if you have a column email or field email and you are typing any random thing but not in a email format? So you should get a message that your format is wrong or email structure is not correct, that way. Okay, so think about how to do that. Okay, not this, to save this. Okay, so that's first question from what we did. Check out how to do this form validation. Okay, it's known as form validation. Steps of okay, first is done. Now again, there are lots of things to discuss before we jump over to API call, but I want to cover it so you guys have a time. So you can create your own forms, create APIs, and try to see are you able to call backend from front end call. Okay, that's the whole idea. So let me run backend code as well, and let's start the service. So we are going to talk about API calls, how to make those API calls. Let's save first. So we are saying, talking about why the font is so big. Okay, call APIs from or in Angular, let's say. Okay, that's the next topic. Okay, so API, I mean, you know everything about API, what is API and how to create that, so we don't need to worry about that. You guys knows that thing. We did that before, all that stuff. Okay, so usually how it works, we need a component, we already have that. Then one thing is you can create a separate class or layer which is known as uh, uh, service. Okay, and in service we will do something which is known as HTTP calls. Okay, this is what we typically do. So in service, we will do that API calls, and then later the functions basically uh, HTTP calls, and this happens within functions. Okay, so we write some functions, and inside the function we will call those APIs. So we need to create that component, then in service. Okay, so let's create one component first, or yeah, okay, let's or I can do one thing. Instead of adding one more layer, or okay, we can do that, not a big thing. So going back to the service, okay, inside the same user directory, here we are user. I'll create one, let's say user data or whatever. Let me verify what APIs we created. Okay, we got manager control. Okay, leave this. We'll combine this later because this is something we have to manage actually. Before that, did we create any APIs? Spring Boot Basics, open up cloud controller. Oh, not this one. Laptop. Yeah, okay, we can work on this. Why I'm not using that application, because this is something we have to actually work together to create a UI for that. Not that big or fancy, but at least you can manage as a project. So we have one portion ready for APIs. So here I just want to show you how to call APIs. So we can use this laptop controller. Okay, so we already have multiple APIs ready. Get mapping. We'll start with this get mapping. Okay, how to call get APIs. This one, get, which lists all the laptops. Okay, so let's run this code first of all to verify how it works. Okay, multiple applications open. So let's run this way. Run application. Postman I'm opening. Okay, application started. Laptops, there it is. Get laptops, send request, and yeah, we are getting ID, brand, and price. Okay, good. So we can use this API. Nice. Okay, so API is working. I just want to verify it's working. Fine. So here I'm going to create a new component. Ng generate component. I'll say laptop. Let's say laptop data. That's my component name. Laptop data. Enter. Okay, again 4 files for component and one update in model file. Okay, everything's normal. And let's close others. And here I need to say, okay, let me show you the files. So HTML and TS file. Fine. So in HTML file we have this laptop data works, and there we have a selector. So app laptop data. I'll copy the selector from TS file, going back to our root HTML page, paste the selector, closed, done, and let's, okay, before even execute, I need to generate one service file as well. So if you guys remember, when we were doing this workforce application, we tend to create multiple packages. Idea was simple, that to segregate multiple things, not to write everything in the same file or at same place, keep it separate. So this was service file. What it was doing, it was doing some one basic task, that logic goes here and it connects controller to the database layer. So the sole purpose of this service layer was to make things work, writing logics and going forward, connecting two separate things. Same thing we are going to do here. We will create one service here, and that service will be responsible for taking data from form and forward it to the backend, the APIs. So that service will take request from components and pass it to the controller file. This controller, laptop controller. Okay, I hope service responsibility is clear. So let's create ng generate service, and I'm going to call this laptop data. So check out how I'm naming it. When it was component, I gave hyphen there, But when I'm creating component, sorry, when I was creating component, it was hyphen data. Now when it's service, so laptop data, because it is going to be a class. Okay, enter. And when we create service, it creates only two files. So let's see this first. Copy it, paste it. So we wrote ng generate as for service laptop data, and it creates one service file and its testing file. Okay, so we already know what is test file, so we will ignore it, at least for now. At least we know we are not going to entertain that file. So logic laptop data, it was enter user, so here it is. So laptop data service is here, and its test file, leave it. Laptop, no, sorry, my bad, yeah, there. So that's how a service file looks like. So when you create a service, it will have some more new things. So it imports something, that's fine. And again it's a TypeScript class. Export class laptop data service. By default, it has service at the end. It is suffix present. And again, some special annotation, like in Spring, we tend to write at service annotation, and that makes container knows that this is a service file which is responsible for logic purpose, and it will connect both different endpoints. Likewise, here it is marked with at injectable. So injectable you can treat like auto wiring. What does auto wiring do? You don't have to create object of this class manager repository. It is by default present. Same way, injectable. So you can just inject it by default. So you can connect it. It's not completely true about injectable, but I'm saying you can treat injectable as of your auto wiring. So you don't need to do anything special. Just create that class and auto wire it. So you can create or call its methods or components or the contents you have. You don't have to create its object directly. We never ever created object of repository or service class. So same thing is doing happening here. Okay, so we don't need to do anything special. Once you write ng generate service, you will get this service file. And since we were inside user data users directory, it is parallel to the directory. If I show you, user contains laptop data service, that is file, and laptop data service file. Okay, it's done. So the most important thing will go inside this class. Okay, the API calls will happen here. Okay, so now we have idea how to create service and how it looks like. And let me highlight this, and here not wrong place, this one. Okay, done. Fine. Let's create new paint to understand how to do that API call. Font is again big. Okay, so to call APIs, we needed HTTP client module. Okay, that's actually a note for us that we need this module, and if it is a module, we already know where to write this module thing. Okay, so going back to this VS Code, I'll open the module file, and declaration will take all the components. Then we have imports, and imports will take all the modules. So I'll put a comma after reactive form modules, press enter, and I'll type HTTP client and module. It is not coming because it is present in a subfolder, so you have to give its complete path. I have wrote this code multiple times, so I remember that, and you guys can also remember it just by writing it multiple times. No other shortcut. So import this from where? So you have to write certain things. So this, then at Angular, and it will have this Angular common slash HTTP, and you can see error is gone. Okay, so HTTP client module, there it is. So second step is done. importing that module in our module class, the root module file. We'll take a screenshot of it. Going back there. Mm. So we just imported one library here and here. To call an API, this is mandatory, like a service we needed. Like in Spring Boot, we needed one library, pom file. If you want to create anything, a web related thing, what you need to do, you have to import this library, Spring Boot Starter Web. So likewise, if you're dealing with this, so you have to do this part. Okay, it's done. So now we know what we have to, which library we are going to use, that is HTTP, and it's quite straightforward. No need to do anything special. Just import it in your service class and use it. Yep, that's it. So let's follow along. Open the VS Code. Our TS file is right here. Oh, not this one is right here. And first thing I'll say, okay, let me write code and then it will get auto imported from that module. So first thing is we know that this is the endpoint. We are talking about laptops. I copied that endpoint, going here, and I'll create one variable. Let's say string API URL. That's my variable name. Oops, sorry, it's a Java syntax. API this, and I'll put a colon, double quotes. That's my API URL. Okay, HTTP colon localhost 8080 laptops. Okay, then in constructor you have to auto wire it. Like here, we guys in general way we have two ways to initiate objects. One is auto wiring, that setter getters or constructor. This is supported by Spring Boot. Same thing is here. If you want to instantiate anything, any object you want to create, so it says already injectable. So if you want a third library to be used here, so create its reference. It is similar to what we tend to write in Java code, private variable something. There you need to create object. Here you don't need to create anything, just write that private, then the library name, that is HTTP, that's my variable name, and the type is here HTTP client. There, that's it. So once you write this line 12, because it's a class, it has a constructor, and once you write this thing, so by default it is available to us. You don't have to create its instance. By default Angular will give us that object, and once you have that object you can call some things. So I'm going to call laptops, or let's say, let me make it more meaningful, get all laptops. That's my function name, and here I'll create bracket and I'll write return, and then object is already here, the reference is HTTP, so I'll write HTTP. Now if I go back to Java code for laptop, to get all laptops, there it is, get all laptops. What's the type? Get mapping laptops. So laptop is already here, laptops here, but it says it's a get request. So fine, I'll write HTTP dot get. Yep, or not this way, just write get and give the URL. So this dot API URL, and done. That's how we write HTTP call. And we need to write this as well in front of it, this dot HTTP. That's how we refer in Angular. That's it. So this, if you call this function from your component, API should get called. Okay, let's see. So I'm going back to that laptop data component. Okay, first thing is, because now we have to call this function get all laptops from here to the component. So I need to import this library or this class. So same thing we have to do. First thing, it's a class, so I can create its constructor. Well, we'll follow the same pattern, constructor bracket curly braces. First thing, I need to instantiate laptop data service, so do that in constructor. Do not write new something something and then I have object. No, this is the way to create instance of any class in Angular or in TypeScript. So let's go to laptop. Yeah, I can just say laptop, any reference. I'll just say laptop data. Then its type is laptop data service, the second one. And as soon as I do that, it will get imported. There it is, laptop data service. Now I have a reference, laptop data. Now I can call anything which is public inside that service and it will be accessible. So in the same file, I mean, in the same constructor, I'm not writing any special or any kind of new function. I'll write everything here. So as soon as the component gets loaded by the Angular server, this constructor will be read it. It will create instance of laptop data service, and then I can say laptop data dot get all laptops. Since it doesn't take any argument, get laptop argument is 0, so it's fine here as well. And if it is working fine, let's say just print it console dot log. Let's say because it says return. So if everything goes fine, it should call back to backend, and whatever it returns, it should get printed on console. That's the whole idea. Okay, fine. So okay, but one thing I need to do. This is not that direct because it's API call. I'll use the reference. So get all laptops. Then done. We have a subscribe function. Okay, this is a special way to call an API, and you have to just cram it as you have to write it as it is. So once you have a function which has a HTTP call in get laptop, I just use the control button, control and click. It will take me there. That's why using the editors, right? So get laptop. So if any function has a HTTP call inside it, so you have to make sure that you are subscribing it. So you are just waiting that okay something will happen and then you will get the data. So subscribe, it will have a bracket. Now focus the syntax. It's all about syntax. Now once it is here, then you need to write the data we are getting, then bracket this and there, and semicolon. So this data actually is the about response, or not data, let's say response. So if this API call is successful, we should get something in response, and I can print that response here. Okay, so that's how it should work in console. Okay, it's done. Let's run this service to see whether we are able to call get request or not. Okay, service is up. Let's clear, reload. I can see laptop data works because it has a component. We are not printing anything extra, and as soon as I'm loading it, because TS file also get load, I can see some message. It says access to XML HTTP request, that is HTTP localhost 80 laptop from this has been blocked, okay, by CORS policy. Okay, CORS policy. Let me search it on Google to show you. So its full form is Cross Origins Resource Sharing, and it's the extension of something which actually blocks it, blocks the normal code of flow. So same thing is enabled by Spring Boot. It says you cannot just call it randomly. Okay, it should be registered on Spring Boot side. It's like a default security provided by Spring Boot. It says you cannot just call it API directly from any other third-party service. From browser it's fine, from tester it's fine, but now we are actually calling it from a different programming language, so it has a blockage. You cannot just call it in directly. You have to do some kind of changes in your API. You have to tell this explicitly to the Spring container. I'm saying container, it's like a JVM, it's like a virtual machine. So you have to tell this to Spring Boot container that this path is correct. So you should allow cross origin, then origins, and in double quote tell this explicitly that which URL will access these endpoints. So that's the only change we need to do in our application. So browser is here, this is our endpoint, I mean the URL for application. I'm going back here, I paste it. So what we just did, we are explicitly mentioning that this endpoint or this server port 4200 will try to access this endpoint, so please allow it. We did the Java change, so restarting this again, laptop run as application. So this is the only change we have to do to allow request from Angular code and from its port. Okay, it started. Going back to the web page again, clear the console, reload, and I can see this time no red line, and I can see something 4. Okay, if I expand, nice. So I can see my response is also coming. 0 Mac, 1 Dell, HP, Asus. Okay, and if I verify, Mac, Dell, HP, and Asus. Great. So from Angular, we are able to call the APIs. No need of web browser, URLs, or Postman tool. Now we have understanding how to call APIs. What we did again, let me just go back. So initially we needed libraries. So we did that by using um, HttpClient module. We needed this library. Once you have it, you need to create a extra class, one service layer from where the actual API call happened. So give the URL, then create a function and call that API from there. Done. And then we just call that function directly from the component without writing any logic, any button event. Constructor is something which is called as soon as the class gets instantiated. And who is doing this here? Angular is doing this for us. So you don't need to call this constructor like explicitly. It will call by default automatically as soon as the component is loaded by Angular. Okay, but it is coming on console, right? So at least let's do this much change first of all. So first thing we did here, not start. Let's start from module file. Okay, so first thing we need to import this. I'm writing in steps so you guys can follow along. Okay, this is the first step, adding a library. Step, oops. Step 1. Step 1 is done. We have to add a library. Great. I'm taking it slow. Still there's a doubt. Please let me know. I can repeat. So HttpClient module is imported. So step 1 is done. Classic. Let's save it to step 6. In next step, we did service file. Let's take a screenshot of this as well till here. Okay, here we go. So step 2 done, calling the API. Okay, this is the endpoint and this is the function. Okay, step 2 is done. Then this was called from component. There's the component. Let's write that name as well, so it will be clear where we are. We are inside this file. Okay, this was from laptop data service, and earlier that was module file. There it is. Okay, done. This is step 3, and here we instantiated that service call. Here it is. In Angular, you don't have to write anything like new, just write its reference inside like this way. So private, this laptop data is just your variable name. You can write it anything. This is its type. Same way like you have to create a string. So age colon number, name colon string. That's how private laptop this. Okay, done. And actual API call is happening, but you have to make sure that if you're calling any function which has HTTP call inside it, so make sure that it is subscribed, so it has a proper syntax. Just follow it. There's no big change in it. Just write it as it is and the API get call. But if it is if any function has HTTP call, make sure you're writing subscribe then function then response will have its data. Okay, it is working great. And the final thing, what we did at backend side. Copy this, sixth. Save it first. 7. Copy, paste it. Then bracket close. And we just called get all laptops. Okay. So the important part is how we just enabled our application, Spring Boot application, to be accessible by Spring Angular code. This is the line, and we just call that API from controller, from service layer to this one. Okay, so this was the last step. Step 4, I guess. Yep, step 4. Okay, and this happened inside laptop controller. It's a Java file dot Java. So likewise, you can create some more, functions inside TS file, uh, service file. TS, of course, it's a TS file. Let's try to call this time. It says get laptop, and here I'll create one function which takes argument. Okay, that way, if I want to create or want to get some, data. Oh, sorry, my bad. Still, first of all, you have to show that data on UI screen. That's first priority. So now we can see our response is coming, but it's in console. How to get that on web screen? So to get that data outside of constructor, I need to create a variable. So I'll say uh, laptops, and here I'll say it's of any type, just any type. And then after console, I'll initialize that laptops with response coming from backend code. Okay, so the response is actually response which comes from backend, and I'm just initializing with it with this dot laptops. So now this is outside of constructor. I can use this laptop outside of this class, that is HTML. So here let's put one h1 tag or something. Let's say laptop data, and then let's try to print laptops directly. Let's see, will this work or not? So just printing the laptops directly. Okay, going back on browser, there it is. Okay, I can see something is printing object, object, object. Okay, so something is not correct. We already know how to use what do you call that, arrays. That's why I showed you how to use for loop. So that can be used. So going back to the HTML file, I will use, let's say, h3 tag, then asterisk. Practice it, guys. The syntax are new. I completely agree, and this is quite tough to get it in 1 day or 2 day or 3 day or 1 week. So practice it. That laptop of laptops, and then I'll go inside it. Curly brace. I'll say laptop dot. Now I need to check what's my response content. So if I expand, it says ID, brand, price. Okay, let me try to print saved. Let's verify. Yep, I can see it's coming. Mac, Dell, HPS, and that's how it works. We already saw how to fetch objects. Can we get everything? Yes, quite easy now. For now, I'm not fetching it in table. That we will do later. The agenda is how to get data, price, and before that, laptop dot ID. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 details, and the price is coming up. later we will show this data in HTML page in a tabular structure, but initially it's fine. So we just rectified certain things in STS file. Instead of just printing on console, we used one variable to get that data outside of for loop and printing it. Okay, so we did this change, and on HTML file, hit the image, then we did here. Oh, not here. The HTML file, there we used a form. We just print it in the simplest way without doing or overdoing anything, and that's its response. Okay, great. So now we can visualize that data coming from backend is actually coming here, and make sure that your service or backend server is running. If it is down, you will get a different error. Let me show you what happens when you trying to access when backend service is down. Usually server is down. We tend to say in a general language, okay, server is down, server is down. So server is down now. Going to request this again. Let's clear the console. Execute it. Okay. So laptop data is static data. It's printed. Then it says get is error connection refused. Error. HTTP error response something something unknown error. Laptops false. So something it says message. Now read the message. HTTP failure reason response for this endpoint. Unknown error. So you have to write that way, so in case if server is down you can print a proper message on front end. So that we will also see how to manage all these stuffs. Let's run this code again. Spring Boot application. Okay, now what about if I want to fetch just one ID, just one ID. So going back to data service here, let's uncomment get laptop, not laptops, and here I'll say ID number, right? Okay, now if I go back to check what's the API for this, so it says laptops slash and then ID. Okay, this way, fine. So I'll go back till here, it's fine. HTTP this is laptops. Then after it says ID as well, so I'll plus, then double quotes slash because that is required, and then plus again I'll give ID. So you can imagine the complete path. So this will become HTTP laptops and then slash then ID whatever giving. So this will come complete path, but ID will be replaced. This ID will be replaced by the number we are going to pass. Okay, so one more function is ready, and you guys can see it's quite simple now. Once you have a complete setup is ready, just one change in your TS file and one change here as well. Okay, so this time what I will do, we already know how to capture details from forms, right? Or we already learned that. So let's try to implement here. So I'm going to create one input type, text, then I'll say placeholder, enter laptop ID, that's my message, enter laptop ID, done. And here I'll say, I'll remember that we used one event. Let me go back to show you. I'm going to reuse the same code we did earlier. User login. I need to check where we wrote that. Not form. Counter. Not this one. Reactive form features today. Login form just a form. But login has key up. Okay, we can use this one then. I'm going to use this one. Okay, so on key up we will try to do this functionality. So I copied that. Instead of user it will be laptop, type text, enter laptop ID, key up, it says get laptop, and now it's going to be laptop. That's my key. There it is, laptop dot value, and name will be laptop. id. Okay, I need to create this function in ts file. So laptop, there it is. Okay, and here what we did in ts file, let's revise. So we have a name, then console it or use it the way you want. So for now we'll just use the console. Same. So I'm intentionally copying it so you guys can relate. If you have practice only, then you can understand what I'm doing. Otherwise you will be just wondering what just I did. Okay, oh, copy it, and I need to pass one id number, and this is component, right? Okay, not this way. Console won't work. We have to call actually API. So that function is present inside laptop service. Method name is get laptop. Okay, so first thing I'll say laptop data, this one which is present in this constructor, and then dot get laptop, and it says I need ID. ID is here, and once function call is done, make sure that you are subscribing it. Subscribe brackets response arrow sign curly brace open close and enter and semicolon. This is a complete space, and now I can print that console message console dot log, and I'll print response right away. Okay, so on key up event we are doing that. Laptop dot value is giving error, so we need to do that as well. And um, laptop any done. Okay, save done. Still getting error. Laptop value, what is that? Oh, type number, but we have assigned to string. Still giving error. Laptop dot value. Okay, fine, because everything is string type and gave a number here, so let's say string. Now id in ts file, the service file. This also thing string. Okay, compile successful. I just converted or changed from number to string, and it is fine. Backend will understand it. If not, we will write API call accordingly. Okay, it's done. Let's see the change. I'll type 1, and I can see it's printed. See, Mac. Let me clear the console to see the impact. Clear, done. Then I'll say we have 4th for Asus ID 4, and I can see. Okay, sorry, I entered 3, and I can see data is coming up HP 3 and 7. So you guys can think of whenever you type something on web page, right away it is happening because of some events are there. You don't have to even press some buttons or enter press keyword or key button. No, just type and things will right away pop up for you. So it's there. What I can do now, I can go back to component, try to understand what I'm going to do. I'll use the same variable, this laptops, and initialize it with this one to see whether it will work or not. Laptops, come on, laptops equal response. Okay, so I'm doing this here as well. Okay, let's do this, otherwise we'll do the change if it conflicts with the previous one. So console clear. ID2, yeah, it conflicts because arrays are allowed and it gives one object. Fine, no issue. We'll use laptop this time, and let's see this one. Okay, no issue, no error on console. Now I can use this variable on web page, on the HTML actually. So here we can write h3, and then let's try to print this data. Not this is good. This is not great here. Just laptop is fine. Okay, and it is printing this way. So everything's printing, but now you can see it says object HTML input field. So this I used as a key. It won't work here. So I need to create a new variable, only then it will understand. So Let's see, laptop data. Okay, any fine identical identifier. I think laptop, oh, this is already present. Let's see, fetch laptop data. Not, it's a function, it's not a function. So one laptop data. Okay, I'll copy this, paste here, and I'll try to print here as well. Okay, one, an object of is coming. Fine, it's obvious. Now I need to fetch the particular thing. I need its friend. Saved. Initially it will give that error, and now it is there. Okay, ID1, it's Mac. Removed. ID4, Asus. Right. So just by entering, you can see the impact is happening. Forget about this thing, because when I delete, it gives error. So you can manage that as well. But for now it's fine. So what we just did, we created a function, one more function in service layer of Angular. Let's see what we did to fetch one record. Save it first. So this is one API call. On component side, we wrote a function get laptop, and we actually also created one variable. Let's see this whole thing. Okay, and here that's how we are getting it. No, not this one. We need this entire input type as well. Okay, so first is our TS file, laptop data service file. The service file is here. Then other one is HTML file. Oh, not this one. And this one is TS file. TS file. And that's how it comes up. Okay, so this is our final output. It gives you a screen, and then this is the output of it. Okay, so this is when you are looking forward to get any data. What if you want to store some record, right? This can be also a case where you want to store some record, or uh, simply store or post records. So this is for post mapping. Okay, post request says get a laptop. So, and how do you capture the data? You have to create a form, a reactive form, right? So I'm just giving you an idea what you guys can try. Just giving you an idea, then try from your end. Because post is something which you should excel actually. You should know where you can get exceptions. So post request from Angular to Spring Boot. Spring Boot. So first step, I'll write some steps so you guys can follow that. First step is create a, now I can write reactive form, because now we know you guys have to practice a lot. Believe me, without practice this will be completely waste of time. So create a reactive form. In that form have two form fields. Okay, ID is auto generated, so you don't need to consider that. Apart from it, just write it accordingly what you have in laptop class. So it has brand and price. Okay, so one is brand, next is price. So keep these two text fields, just follow the same steps what I did, and you will never get an issue. Don't write anything extra. If you do anything, do that later once you are comfortable. Okay, so in that form have two form fields, then create, actually this is actually a sub, oh nice, these are actually sub steps for it. Create a button and see form data is coming on console or not. Okay, always verify console first, always. Okay, this is the first step. Once you have this done, then create a new function. I'm writing fn in service class. So it will be like save laptop or anything, post, create, whatever you want to call it. Save laptop, have that endpoint same, it will be same. Good thing is you don't have to do anything extra. Just get becomes post. Let me show you how you can do that. Get can be changed to post because it's a HTTP thing, so HTTP allows all this. So if you just control space, delete, get, post, put. So just have a put, and post will have two things: URL, comma, body. And you can just get this thing any web what do you call that, documents or article. So that's how it works. First it's a URL. Good thing is URL remains same, and body will be passed here. So you have to pass that JSON data. So do that, create, save, and pass the form data from component to save laptop function, right? Then this is extra step. If you are able to do that, show a notification. Again, it needs a new library, so check out which library helps us to show notifications. Show notification, laptop saved successfully. Just do some positive message that it is saved successfully. So you can do this in 3 steps. I hope this makes sense. Try this out, you will get lots of documentation about it. Check out, otherwise when we meet you guys can practice it that way. Okay, so try this post, put, and delete. Delete is coming simply same like we did get, just replace get with delete here, this one. So just make it delete and everything remains same because delete takes argument. In laptop controller, there delete says laptops and IT, so everything remains same. So just convert get to delete and you can have a new function which is actually calling delete API. Okay, that's it for today.